Bruce Johnson, founder and CEO of BizScalers and the BizScalers Club, and today I want to talk to you about the single best strategy for reducing stress. The single best strategy for reducing stress. If I were to ask you right now, are you feeling a little stressed? Clearly the answer is probably going to be yes, because right now, everywhere I go, every business owner and entrepreneur that I talk to, let alone everyone else, is feeling totally stressed. I'm recording this in December, and right now, as a business owner, you're not only trying to finish out the normal stuff that happens in your business, but you're trying to finish out the year, you're trying to close the books, you're trying to probably make sure it's a positive year, or you're trying to get that last couple deals closed in time. Plus, you're probably trying to figure out the strategy for next year. Plus, you've got employees that are going to go on vacation. You're trying to figure out how you're going to get coverage. And December is just an incredibly stressful time of the year. And so the question that I want to wrestle with and help you answer today is, how in the world do I reduce that stress so that I can actually enjoy this time of the year? Or if you're listening to this some other time of the year, the same principles work whether it's January 5th or it's August 14th or it's December 22nd. It doesn't make any difference what the day is. The principles are always the same. And by the way, if you want to know more about how to be able to grow and scale your business, make sure you check out the scalingclub.com for the BizScalers Club. So it's scalingclub.com. So let me talk to you about how do you reduce your stress. And this is my best and favorite strategy. Now, it's based on two key principles. So let's talk about the principles first, and then I'll wrap it together and you'll understand exactly from now on how to deal with stress anytime, any place, anywhere, which is pretty cool. So the first principle is this: that in general, most people feel happy, the opposite of feeling stressed, in relationship to the amount of control they feel that they have over their lives. So if you feel like you have a lot of control and everything is going well, so you've got a ton of money coming in, cash is great, your employees are doing well, there's a great amount of predictability, chances are you're going to be really happy in your business. If on the other hand, you feel out of control, that you're dependent on some customers or vendors, or some key employees, and people aren't performing according to the way that they're supposed to perform, etc., and you feel kind of out of control, you're not going to feel happy. In other words, you're going to feel stressed. So we feel happy in relationship to the amount of control we feel like we have over our lives and our world. That's principle number one. The second principle, and this is very important, the second principle is whatever we focus in on, we get more of. So whatever you focus in on, this principle is true about everything in life, whatever you focus in on, you're going to get more of that thing. So if you're focused in on an employee who's underperforming and you're constantly looking at them, you see more and more of that, right? It's the old red car deal. You weren't looking for a red car, you decide you want a red car, and all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere. So whatever you focus in on, you get more of. So if you focus in on an employee who's doing incredibly well, then you're probably going to feel better because you're seeing something good. So two things are really important. Principle one, that you and I feel happy in relationship to the amount of control we feel like we have over our world and ourselves. And two, whatever we focus in on, we get more of. Now, if you think about those two things, then hopefully you've already figured out what the single best strategy for dealing with stress is. It's to focus in on the things over which you have control. And in this world, out of all the things that are happening, there's only one thing that you have control over, 100% of the time. And you know what that is? Exactly. It's you. It's you. It's your response, your activities, how you're going to do things. But you control you and only you. I mean, as much as you'd like to think you can control your employees, you don't. As much as you'd like to think you can control customers, prospects, vendors, as much as you'd like to control the economy and the stock market and technology and what your neighbors do and what your HOA decides to do and what the local government decides to do and what the people in DC would like to do, etc. Like, you have zero control over all of that. The only thing that you have 100% control over, is you and only you. So if that's true, then what you want to do, if you want to be able to reduce stress, is you focus your attention on you and your response and your activity, not on other people or other things. And when you do that, you immediately decrease your stress and you increase your happiness. So let me walk you through a couple different scenarios so you can see how this plays out, and it works all the time. So let's just say, for example, that it's December and you got 2 deals that you're waiting on to make sure it ends the year well. So right now you're stressed because those 2 clients haven't signed the deal. We're in December, you need it to end the year well, and you're totally stressed out. So what do you do? Well, my suggestion is you'd ask this question. Am I letting someone or something else control me? And the answer is always going to be yes. If you're asking the question, the answer is always yes. Right? That should be the flag. It should automatically jerk you back and cause you to say, wait a second, why am I ceding control over to someone or something else? That makes zero sense. I remember when my kids were growing up, I used to teach them, no one can make you angry. You can give them control, but they can't actually make you angry. You choose to be angry. And I can remember my youngest daughter one day yelling at me. He said, "But Daddy, you're making me angry." Right? We cede control over to people, but why ever do that? Why cede control over to those 2 or 3, customers or prospects that you're hoping are going to close these deals? Instead, you take back control and you focus in on what can I do, right? I can't control them, but what can I do? Well, I can create some incentive to try to get them to close. If you can close this by December 22nd, I'll give you a 5% decrease in the price. But if you wait until the 23rd or to January 5th, it's going to be the same price we've been talking about. So you can incentivize them. You could develop a better sales approach. You could help create some leverage in their company of other people who are going to be carrying the torch for you and helping to close the deal by X date. I mean, there are lots of things you could do on that deal. Even better, though, I would look at that and say, you know what? I need to learn from this. I don't ever want to be in a place next year where I'm dependent on 2, deals coming through, right? Like my pipeline is too small. What do we need to do? I need to focus on generating more activity. We need to focus in on doing better marketing so we have more leads, of highly qualified leads in. I don't ever want to be in a place where I'm dependent on anyone having to close a deal by any date. So use that as a motivation to actually change your behavior. Focus in on that and you start feeling better. Like, okay, I learned the lesson. I can't do anything about this year. I mean, I can try to get those deals done, but what I'm going to focus in is I'm going to start building out better marketing campaigns. I'm going to create more activity. We're going to build a bigger pipeline so that we're never in this place again. You feel better automatically. You take back control. The moment you take back control, you reduce the stress. Here's another scenario that causes a lot of stress at this time of the year because you're dependent on maybe a vendor trying to get something done by this date. And they're dragging their feet. They're not getting it done. It's really easy to get all stressed out because you're holding back on doing other things because this vendor isn't getting their job done. So you can either cede control over to them and feel miserable and stressed out, or you take back control and say, "Am I letting someone else control me?" The answer is always yes. Then you say, "Okay, what can I control?" Well, I can control my attitude. I'm not going to let them control me. That's first and foremost. And now you're going to feel better at just doing that. But then you start thinking about what activity could I do? Can you start with a charm offensive, right? That's usually a better strategy than go negative. Do the charm offensive. Quite frequently, the charm offensive alone will get the stuff done faster. If not, then you amp up the speed and you start, badgering them. You can even have somebody on your staff call them every single freaking day and, do the annoying thing if needed to. You can hold back on your payables, right? You can extend your AP days. And until they meet certain metrics and get something done. You could renegotiate the contract. You could get some lawyers involved if you needed to be able to do that. You could cancel the contract if possible. I mean, there are lots of things you can do, but when you take back control and you focus on what you can do instead of being frustrated by letting them control you and your day and your emotions, you get rid of the stress. Remember, stress is not an external gain. Like, it's not a generic thing. 2 people looking at the same event have 2 radically different experiences. Why? Because stress is an internal game. It's all about us. It's about us and our focus. So if you want to get rid of stress, it's really simple. You stop focusing on the things that are out of your control, which is like everything in the world. And you focus in on the thing that you can control, which is you. Or let's say, for example, an emergency occurs, some big expense that you weren't calculating on, say 5 or 10% of your total annual salary. So if you're $1 million, it's the $50,000, $100,000 expense you weren't anticipating. Or if you're $5 million, it might be a $250,000 to $500,000 expense. Like, you were not anticipating this. It's a big deal. Most companies, that's a big deal. Well, you can either spend your life stressed out by it, but again, you're ceding control over something external to you, or you take back control. And you simply say, okay, it is what it is. What are we going to do now? And you focus in on the activity of the things that you can do now to fix that. The moment you're focused in on you and what you're doing, your stress goes down, your happiness goes up, and you have power to keep moving forward. And the cool part for you as a business owner / entrepreneur is this, that if you start managing your attitude better so that you're happier more of the time, guess what? Everyone drafts off of you. So your entire workforce produces at a higher level. In other words, you're less likely to have problems if you learn how to control your stress. your people and their productivity is going to grow up, which means that you're probably going to get happier and happier. So this strategy works all the time. You can use it at home. You can use it with your kids if you have kids. You can use it with a spouse if you have a spouse. You can do it with your neighbors. You can do it with your town council. You can do it with your HOA. You can do it with technology. You can do it with the stock market. It doesn't make any difference. The same principle. There is one strategy above any others that I've ever found that automatically decreases the stress and increases your happiness. And that is to stop focusing on the things that you can't control. It's to focus on the thing that you can control, which is simply you and your attitude, which you can control anytime, any place, anywhere. And if you ever doubt that, I encourage you to read Man's Search for Meaning and realize that, Viktor Frankl figured out how to control his attitude in a concentration camp. If he could do that, you can do it in your situation. You can control this. It's an inside game, not an external game. Don't cede control, take back control. So hopefully that was helpful for you. It's the single best strategy you can ever use anytime, any place, anywhere to be able to reduce your stress. Now, if you found this helpful, and as a business owner and entrepreneur, stress is kind of the trade that we all live in. If you found this helpful, I'd encourage you to pass this along to some other business owners and entrepreneurs that you know. If you're listening by video or by podcast, make sure you subscribe by whatever platform you're listening to. Make sure you check in and week out, because my commitment to you is to produce and give you actionable, practical ideas that can help you grow and scale your business every single week. And if you haven't checked it out yet, check out the BizScalers Club at scalingclub.com, scalingclub.com. We'd love to help you figure out how to grow and scale a great business and to do so faster. So until next week, to your accelerated success, Bruce out.